Next up, Allison Dowd.
All right, back to the incumbents for this question. Specifically incumbents Peter Bartlett, George Bury, and Linda Ross. Mr. Bartlett, you have had one of the poorest attendance records among incumbents seeking re-election this time around. As well, Mr. Bury, you have missed meetings because of your involvement in your local drama group. Each of you missed a number of the public consultations regarding the French milieu issue. And when voters elect a candidate, should they not be entitled to expect that their candidate will show up to regularly scheduled meetings, participate in board committee meetings, and take part in community outreach meetings? I'll ask Peter Bartlett to give his response first.
Gladly, thank you very much. Serving as I do, I give 100% of my time. It isn't always possible to be at every function. And I believe one of the ones that you referred to with regards to sorry, Alison, my brain just powered down there. But one of the functions that you referred to was dealt with by senior admin. It wasn't one that trustees were requested to be a part of.
Then I might ask, as an engaged incumbent in the community, why did you not attend voluntarily? There were other incumbents that attended those meetings.
When senior admin takes control of the meeting, I don't think they want me being there to interfere with their process.
You don't answer to senior administration, you answer to the taxpayer, Mr.
That's
Bartlett.
correct. I understand your point, but at the same time, they have a function in management, we have a function in governance, and we give them the opportunity to manage, and at the point in time we don't believe that they do manage well, then we need to get other people in those positions. As long as we trust them, then we go on with our governance.
Thank you. I'll ask George Bury to answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Allison. I don't know where that's coming from. I think it's a very unfair question, to tell you the truth. As far as my meetings on committees, I have missed almost no committee meetings whatsoever over the 4 years that I've been on every committee of the school board. As board chair over the last 2 years, I missed one meeting because I was seriously ill that night. A couple of the meetings I missed that you mentioned, there were about 2 of them, and I had other engagements. I'm proposing here, as part of my proposal tonight, which I'm not sure was heard, that we increase the number of meetings and we have actually forums in the schools so that parents can come out and give us their feedback. I will be at those.
I'll just as a follow-up question, I'll just ask you to explain. There were a series of, much like I mentioned to Mr. Bartlett, a series of community meetings in consultation with the single-track French immersion school, and as I understand, you missed the majority of those meetings, and I'm just wondering, as the chair of the board, during a very important public consultation.
Well, I was at 3 of those meetings, and I certainly was aware of what was happening at those other meetings.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue on to Trustee Linda Ross.
Thank you. I've been a trustee for 17 years. Last year I had a particularly difficult year and I did miss some meetings, which has been unusual for me. I was hospitalized for a while, so I couldn't come to meetings. And I missed several meetings because my mother was ill and passed away.
Thank you for your response.
Next up, Devon Ross of the Brown Sun.
This is to the incumbents Murray, Jolly, Bartlett, Snelling, Bury, and Linda Ross. The French milieu issue was easily the most contentious issue before you during your mandate. Looking back, what lessons did you learn and how would you have handled the issue differently? And first is to Jim Murray.
Thank you, Devon. I figured that question was coming this evening. Thank you for it. It was a very contentious issue in our community. We held, I think, probably the largest public consultation that's ever been held in the city of Brandon in comparison to other issues where there has been very little consultation held. The mistake that we made in that was in leaving Harrison community out of it until the very end. That was a mistake, and I regret that to this day. But I do believe that we engaged our community in that. We had many people come out and express their views on what we should be doing with the schools. The lessons we learned from it is that we now have a policy on public consultation at our board table.
Can you appreciate, if you don't mind me following up, the anger that the Harrison community would feel at this point, given that the decision ultimately impacted them the most, and yet they were consulted the least? Please.
Absolutely, I understand that anger, and that was definitely a mistake that the board made. There's no other way that you can put that. Like I said, we left the Harrison community out of it until the very end. We had public consultations around every other school that was involved. And it was a mistake on the part of the board.
If I could, for the challengers who were directly involved in this issue, listen to these answers carefully, because you're next. Be Jolly, please.
I'm a great believer in communicating, and I think that what happened with the single-track French school was disappointing. I was one of the trustees that pointed out right from the beginning, before any forums took place, that we should be consulting with parents and staff of 5 schools. We didn't do that, and so we are to blame that we didn't communicate with Harrison parents, and I regret that. But on the other hand, I did try my best.
Peter Bartlett.
As a first termer, I learned in that particular situation to use my own head, to watch who I listened to, and whose recommendation would I believe. That was a very important piece of learning for myself. Sometimes we gather from people that we trust and we know about, and we don't pursue it farther. And I'm very happy that we have, as Dr. Ross's recommendation, the institution, the creation of an outstanding consultation policy.
That beggars a good question, if I might. If in fact you did not follow your own judgment, would you be prepared to share with us tonight whose judgment you did follow, A, and B, how can we count on you to follow your judgment this time?
Absolutely. One of the lessons, I guess, of a newbie is look around you and see what's going on. Nobody hands you a manual. You have to do some fast learning. The learning curve goes straight up for those people who are just about to take on this position. You'll have to appreciate the fact that you are going to be doing a lot
Whose
of
judgment did you follow, sir?
Whose judgment did I
Yeah,
did I
you
personally
indicated
follow?
at the very start
Certainly.
that...
I'll have to, I would say I followed the superintendent's instruction, or I should say her recommendation.
Marty Snelling.
Thank you. The lessons I've learned from that is that, one, we have to start the process earlier with the community. And once we got into the process, my biggest goal was to save the English program at New Era School and to keep New Era dual track. With Harrison, again, like we were too short on time. We had to make decisions, and it's very unfortunate. And if we started the process earlier, it would have been better. And I'm glad people care about education, that they make it known about this.
If I could, did you vote for or against the move to Harrison?
I was voting for a 2-year transition from New Era to Harrison, and that was voted down, and so the only option left was to do it all in 1 year.
Okay. George Beery?
Yes, we started out with that process. There were a couple of things going on. There was the single-track French immersion and also the overcrowding at New Era. We held our consultations. We found out that for sure people did not want us to move the English program. They made that abundantly clear. We would have a serious problem with, right now we're looking at, I think, yes, we should have consulted more with the Harrison people, and I think we've learned some lessons from that.
Linda?
We blew it. It was done really badly from the get-go. And I have to take responsibility for that along with everybody else. We needed to do more consultation. We needed to particularly get more information out there because the public did not have the information that they needed to have. Hindsight's 20/20. Certainly I could do it a lot better the second time around. I think I could have done it better the first time around. But you know, you're dealing with many people at the same time. But overall, we made big mistakes.
But Linda, to be fair to you, I think more than any other trustee, you're the one that tried to fix this process when you saw the problem. You introduced a motion calling for some proof that there was in fact support for the program.
I did, that's true, I did do that. I did try to slow the process down to get some additional community feedback, but I'm part of the board that made this decision, so I have to assume responsibility for it as well.
Okay, thank you.
This is, as Devin Ross indicated, a two-part question. We are going to move to a number of challengers that he is going to call upon, and after that we'll take a minute break, minute advertisement to make things pay for themselves, Mr. Ross, if you would.
This is for the challengers Barrett, Galatuck, Hamilton, Boslaw, Crook, and Kogan-Zarek. Having heard the answers just given by the incumbents, what mistakes do you feel the current trustees made in their handling of the issue, and what would you do if a similar situation arose in the next 4 years? Michael Barrett.
I think the problem was not with the end outcome, it was the way it was implemented. When we found out, I believe it was in March last year, what was happening, our children are in George Fitton, so they are affected by this. As parents, we found out what the situation was, and at that point, I called every trustee, spoke to them personally, made a presentation, begging them to slow the process just so that it could be done right instead of just doing it with the one population in mind. I guess that's it.
Marla, Galatuck.
I think I might get the red flag on this one, but I'll try. I feel that it was really rushed through, and now, as a parent being affected by this, there are all sorts of things going on at the schools as a result of it being rushed through. Right now, the teachers, parents are dealing with now, and I haven't seen the trustees coming forward on the issues, such as timetabling issues at Green Acres. You know, they're not really aware, so they rush through in a hurry, and I think you need to slow down and take your time. I definitely do plan to, there's my red flag, spend more time on this.
If I might just for a second, so far we've had two folks indicate concern with the process. I think the existing trustees did a very good job accepting responsibility and indicating that the process was flawed. I guess my concern is, as a voter, how do I know that an individual might not be a one-issue candidate because you live in the area? This is something that was of concern to you prior to this happening at Harrison School, at George Fitton. Had you indicated any concerns? Had you come out to any of the meetings? I'd like to know how I know and how I can be assured that you're not a one-issue candidate. Please.
No, you're absolutely right. I've thought about that long and hard. I actually did have concerns over the closing of Fleming going way back. I probably didn't do all that I should. I did come out and express my concerns and did leave it there. I didn't have children at the time, and I probably didn't think how involved I would be. Thought about this long and hard, and I realized that we all impact on each other. It is us as a whole, and I'm not only concerned from a Green Acres school, it's made me wonder what's going on at the other schools. And you talk about some of the issues that, there's that red flag again. And they have issues as well that I'm becoming aware of.
Vanessa Hamilton, but I just want to ask for a show of hands. How many, in the initial consultation process for the French milieu issue that the school board held, the 4 meetings, how many of you spoke at any of those meetings? All right, how many spoke at Harrison School? Okay, so Vanessa Hamilton?
Well, I can answer this one for sure. I did go to the Harrison consultation, and I listened to, well, I guess I better not talk about that because I only have 30 seconds. I really got involved when I heard that my children were going to be put on a bus to miss their breaks and their lunch to go to gym. And childhood obesity is an epidemic, and if we don't do something right this minute, we won't be having universal Medicare in about 20, 30 years, I'm thinking.
Excuse me, candidate Hamilton, you're indicating to the audience here tonight and at home that your primary concern in this is childhood obesity.
It's the health of the children, because if children aren't healthy, they can't learn properly.